Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Anything About Everything. Today, we're going to talk about human resource, and we have Amrutha with me. Um,
Hi Raghu, thank you. Thanks for having me.
First and foremost, thank you so much for taking time early morning in India. That is 6 a.m. and it's almost 8 p.m. here. So,
Yes,
not much of a crazy time schedule for me, but appreciate you coming on over at 6 a.m. in the morning.
no problem at all. I'm used to this.
Used to the early days routine. Is it because of kids?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. So let's cut to the chase. I want to understand what is human resources. Human resource just like recruiting and hiring process. What exactly is human resource?
Okay. So human resources is a wide range of activities that the individual takes care of within the company. So every organization hires people to do the job, right? So who takes care of those people? That is what is human resources. People who handle the entire journey of an employee within the organization, starting from recruiting them, training them, managing their performance. Then there's compliances that they look into, setting up policies for the company all the way till exit. What this is what we call as the employee life cycle management. So this whole journey of an employee within the organization is what HRs or human resources employees take care of.
This might come out of ignorance, but if a HR person wants to pay me more, can she pay me more? Can he or she pay me more?
Oh no, HR always works, for the business, right? So they represent business. So for them, money going out of money going out is money going out from the company, right? They are very good negotiators, very good influencers when they talk to people, especially the talent market, right? I'm specialized in talent acquisition within these different things that I spoke about. So they are specialized in knowing how to attract the best talent. Everybody is doing well, being in high paying jobs, great profile. So how do we attract the best talent for our company? So this is what they are good at doing. And they also do a good job in negotiating on the salaries while we hire them.
So, when you spoke about talent acquisition, I was in the job search market back in 2015. Um, sorry, 2017. And I used to pump out resume like 120 resumes every single day. And
Mm,
I know that nowadays there's a system that reads
mm,
your resume, and you have to input the keywords that goes into it. Basically, like my friend told me this idea: make a 1.5 page resume and next half page just leave it blank, but what you do is in white font just put all the keywords as much as you want and your resume will get picked. That didn't work
okay.
out for me.
Hmm.
So my question is, what is the best way to write a resume that will reach the recruiter?
Right. So this is a very big question in our field, right? How to get through and ensure that the person who's recruiting you finds your resume out of the big lot that they, every day receive. How is it that you can make ensure that your resume stands out? This is a very important and uh, something that as candidates people have to really put conscious efforts into this should not be just something that's written on the CV, something you just shoot in the dark to various companies. Today everything is just a click of a button. So you're searching jobs, there's just apply now option, you just keep clicking on that to just get through to somebody. You just want somebody to look into your profile and hire you, but that's not the right way. This is what adds to a huge list of CVs sitting coming to the recruiter's email box, right? So this is something one as a candidate I would not recommend. Rather, firstly, to answer to your point on how to write a resume, the resume should be as crisp and to the point as much as possible. See, nobody wants to know about how what you do in your job. So I come, I log in, I open this database, and I look into this. I've seen like people when they enter their job, first job, second job, they're just writing such transactional things that they do in their job. That's already a process. Somebody's already set that for you. Every company does it, and you're writing the same thing. So where is you in that? What is so unique that you are doing there? So it's more about the how is it that you are doing your job. That's what makes you stand out. That's what's you as an individual, and you can make that more personal to the person who's reading your resume. So try and put as many things about what you do in your job. It could be achievements, it could be process improvements, something that really brought a significant impact on the business or the teams that you're working with. So highlight those than talking about your regular routine work that you do. So this is definitely a big thing, and this can also make your CV crisp, right? You can just talk about two, three companies you have worked on and what all you've done here that really stands out. So this is going to help the person who's reading resumes to actually pick your profile. It is true that in any company, the person who's recruiting is a very powerful person because they have that chance and control on which CV they pick up and present to their company versus which to leave out. So it is important that the recruiter should really be attracted to your resume. So whenever a candidate wants to apply for a job, there are multiple channels to get through, right? So there is the emailing option, find out the email ID of either HR or any employee in the company, send out your resume. And then there is the career page of the companies, and then there are also employee referrals within organization. Employees are rewarded for referring, so there are referral rewards that they get. So most employees are always looking to refer people to their company because it in turn, there's monetary benefits for them. So this is also a great way to try and make your CV reach the right person within the company. And yeah, if you're emailing, definitely something to look into. Very important would be the email body and the subject line, what you write. Right, it can be crisp, it can be just be a synopsis or summary of what you bring to the table, what you're specialized in. But please do write. Don't send a empty email with just an attachment saying my CV. Okay, do not do that. I have seen many people do that. That's definitely not a good way to approach. I mean, it talks a lot about you, how you write, what you call out, in your the career profile. So it is important. I think these are some of the things I can think of on top of my mind. Raghu.
Awesome. That's amazing. Gave a lot of insights, and I am also guilty about sending emails just saying PFA and my resume. Yeah, I'm also guilty about that.
I've also done that early in my career. I've also sent so many profiles. Now I know how it feels. Of course, like I have now enough experience. I don't personally look into profiles. I have my juniors who do all the screening, and they do majority of the headache job. But yeah, early in my recruiting career, I've seen this a lot.
Following up on that question, is there a recommendation that you have? How many pages of resume a person should write based on experience? Is it like, if it's a fresher, is there a number? If it's like 5 years, is there a number? For a C level, is there a number? Like, do you have any suggestions on that?
No, there is no such fixed number of pages, but it is the truth that nobody wants to read many pages of the CV, right? Nobody wants to. Nobody has the time. Not even the person who's interviewing you. Forget the recruiter who's being this bridge between you and the person who's going to interview you. Even the person who's going to interview you will not have the time to read the entire CV. They will not. They will just look into the key pointers that you've written. So, as crisp as possible, I have seen, like, when we recruited C level folks, right? Like chief marketing officer, chief sales officer, their resumes were one page.
Wow.
Like they were able to put everything into a one pager. So this is where the quality of what you write comes into the picture. It's not the number of lines going on, talking about everything in length, but rather what really impacted. So they would just directly talk about things they've done which has really turned around the businesses that they have worked with, like the profits they made for the company, anything like that. So I, while interviewing them, is when I understood, as you go up the ladder, your CV, the length of your CV should get shorter, because you can actually summarize a lot of things. And of course, while talking to the interviewer, you can always talk in length and answer all their questions. And that also keeps that suspense factor there, right? Like the person who's interviewing will still have a lot to understand. Okay, so you've written this. Can you elaborate on this? So there's so much more that you can talk and, continue the conversation.
That's nice. Yeah. It's good to know that we have to keep it as concise as possible, right?
Yeah,
That's the best way. Uh, jump in and correct me if I go wrong in this. When I started really getting calls on my resume was my friend Praveen. He told me like, just for each experience that you have, just put 2 or 3 points, and each point should be like probably 1 or 2 sentence. What
mm,
is the tool that you used? What did you do, and what is the impact that
correct.
your team had based on that? It could be like,
Right.
how do you say, the conversion rate for website for a particular
Correct.
campaign improved
Correct.
from
Mm,
improved these many percentages. So he
correct.
mentioned about that. I was like, yeah, that's a good point, and I started using that in my resume. Am I correct?
Yes, you are right. Very much, on point on this. We call this a STAR technique. STAR, STAR. So situation, S stands for situation, task, T is task, action, and result. So what was the situation before you started this, and what was the task in front of you, right? And then what was the action you took, and what did that result into? So this is a very effective way of writing a story on, anything that you brought a change in, or anything that you've improved. This is really the personal point that I was trying to make on keeping it as unique as possible for you, right? What is it that you did? So everybody, in any organization, usually there are teams, everybody does the same job, right? So why talk about something that your entire team does? Talk about what you have done uniquely that stands out.
Awesome. Switching gears back to the human resource sector,
Hmm.
how does the
Hmm.
career growth start? Like, what job designation do you start, and to what position that you can work your way up to?
Hmm. Right. So today there are specialized graduation programs and master degrees that are into human resources. I think back then a lot of people did not even choose it that way. It happened by chance for a lot of people, I'm sure. But it is a very structured function, just like every other department in any company. You have sales, marketing, finance, legal, operations, just like how you have every other department, and the growth path in each of these departments are the same. One starts with an entry level, say in India we call it like executive or an officer. It starts with that, and it moves to a supervisory role, a middle management role, and get into roles like general managers, VPs, and then of course there is the C level role, where one person is the topmost person heading the function, like a CHRO, chief human resource officer.
Progress. Awesome. And the viewers, of course, they wouldn't know, but I know this. You did your master's in biotech, right?
Yes,
And then
yes,
that's a completely like STEM program, like science. And then
yes,
you got into human resource, which is
yes.
like two different universe. Um, and you're in human resource for like last 15 years, probably
Yes.
15, 16 years.
Close to
I'm
14, 15.
14
Yeah.
years. I'm sure you like the human resource like field. So what got that shift, and at what point do you realize that this is going to be a career path?
Right. So, like you said, I did my master's in biotechnology, and this was just a growing, field, back then when I took it up, and most of us who took it up, uh, went with this flow that there's going to be a lot of scope. There is. I'm not saying there isn't, but as much as all that interested while studying, when it comes to practically doing the job, we worked with were doctors who would look into the clinical research. They would look into what's the drug being produced. We used to work for top notch companies like Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, and there was a lot of work that we did on clinical data management and all that. So this made it look like it's a huge ocean of things that we do. While even when COVID happened, the whole vaccine, the way it was produced, and what all goes into researching on that, it just made me feel that this is not something that I'm very happy doing on a daily basis. And there was no human interaction. It was not a job where I would really feel motivated every day, right? So that's when I also was married and I wanted to look at something else. I switched my career from life sciences to human resources. I got an opportunity to work in a small company. So you know how it is in small companies, it's like you get to do a lot, right? So this whole, I was really empowered to do so many things, which made me feel okay, this is really something that gives me that kick. Meeting people, talking to new people every day, changing their lives, right? Every time I provide a career opportunity to an employee, it makes a big change in their life, their families. So the impact is big in this role.
Awesome. So talking about marriage and kids and stuff, like as far as I know, like a lot of women quit their career after they have kids. So
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what is your advice, and how did you manage to do both? Have like have kids? I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
like I know Purvik and Janani, like they're amazing, like smartest kids that I know. And how did you manage both?
Oh, that's the toughest thing I think for a working mother. It's managing time effectively is the biggest challenge on a daily basis. Everything is happening in a rush, and if the job that you are in also is a challenging one, where you have to take decisions very quickly, and things are different every day, it becomes all the more difficult. So I think a strong support system is very important for every working mother, be it support from parents or in-laws, husband for sure. Gone are the days where a woman only did everything in terms of taking care of the house, raising kids, everything. Today everybody shares responsibilities at home, so this also gives a lot of balance. I was just remembering as you spoke, there was this interview of Indra Nooyi, the CEO of PepsiCo, where she so rightly talks about the career clock and the biological clock for a woman, right? For a working woman, there's always a conflict, right? Just when you are getting a good job and trying to learn things, and trying to outperform in your career, you're getting into the marriage phase. And then just when you are doing really well, getting into middle management, you're managing a team and trying to drive performance through them and really getting appraised for that, is when you're entering into having kids. There's always this conflict for a woman, I think, balancing both career graph and personally how things go also. um, I have really seen this happen to me as well. But the most important thing for me has been a good support system. And of course, that inner drive, me wanting to be in a job. And some of us get that, right? It may not be the need really financially, but we do get that kick of going and meeting people every day, and being part of interesting ideas, conversations.
For me, when I saw you taking care of kids, and I see a lot of my colleagues right now, they take care of kids. um, a huge respect, for me emerges from my own parents. Like they would have done
Yes,
exactly the same thing when
exactly.
I was a kid, right?
Yes, 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 true.
So
See,
when I see,
I think for working, I'm sorry to cut
no,
you
no, no, go
there.
ahead, go
For
ahead.
working parents, there's always that guilt, especially for the wife, right? Am I giving enough time for my kids? Am I being there, for every milestone of theirs and things like that? This guilt was there for me early in my career, right? But somewhere I read a very nice article on how they have also listed out the positives, the positive impact it has on kids who have working parents, right? How independent they can become, how smart they can become, because they try to figure out a lot of things themselves. They find solutions themselves because a lot of times maybe we're not around, right? This makes them a little more smarter, and I think it's about giving that quality time. It's not about being with them 24 by 7, but the time that you're there with them, make the best of it. So yeah, I think, like you said, it's good. It's nice of you that you acknowledge the struggles our parents would have gone through while raising us.
Even I see now my cousin Adarsh, like he is a very happy-go-lucky person now. All his life, like every single day, his timetable revolves around his son sleeping,
Mm.
right? So,
Yes. True.
so you're giving up. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be parents have to be selfish for their time, but when you think about it, I cannot imagine myself giving up my time for someone else's sleep,
Mm.
right? But my
Oh
parents
yes.
have done that for my sleep for
Mm.
years, and
Mm.
yeah, it always, I always, when people are talking about that, I always take a minute to be grateful for what they have done and where I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. True.
um you bring up about very important point about motivation. It for
Mm.
you it was not financial need, but there was some motivation that that was inside you to go ahead and pursue your career and balance both in the best way possible. So what is that motivation? What gets you to do what you do every single day?
Correct. Correct. Well, that's a very thought-provoking question. It is, I think, for every person, it's very important to love what you do. Otherwise, just getting up and dragging yourself to work every day, it's just not going to get you anywhere, right? So I think it's important to experiment early in your career and really see what is it that you love doing and take up those fields, because that's where your entire interest and you'll be able to give more than your 100%. Meeting people is something that motivates me a lot. I love going out and meeting people every day. Financial freedom, of course, gone are the days where we used to talk about uh, having a lot of money or many of these things that people took pride in. But today, that financial freedom, freedom of time, freedom of some of these things have become really what is important. So it is important for every girl to be financially independent. That's very important. On motivation, there is recently a book I started reading, which was recommended by one of my friend from Canada who was here recently. It's called The Four Tendencies. Right? So there are four categories of people. One is the upholders, then there is the questioners, the rebels, and the obligers. So every individual goes through this inner expectation and outer expectations, right? Inner expectation is things you love doing, things you want to do every day, things that actually motivate you. Then there is the outer expectations. It could be people you're working with, the society, the system, everything in general, what the world expects from you. So, meeting this, or rather finding a balance in this, becomes important for you to be at peace. The obligers are the ones who resist inner expectation and meet outer expectations. They're always, the obligers, they like to please people. So, they don't look into what their inner self is asking for. They're not looking into what they really want, but they're trying to make others happy. Okay, so they come into the obligers category. And then there is rebels. Rebels are people who will not listen to what they want, and they will also not listen to what the world wants, right? They're people who just don't want to do it for themselves or for others, right? And then there are the questioners. Questioners are people who resist outer expectations and meet inner expectations. They only listen to themselves. They don't listen to what the world has to say or what people want from them. And then the topmost, or people, I think a lot of, they've drawn a pattern on this. A lot of CEOs, most successful businessmen, fall under this category of upholders. They're people who are able to find a balance between what their inner drive is and what, what's needed outside, right? What the world expects. So uh, I think this is where one should really look towards getting to get really successful. This is something that really put that thought in my mind, that it is important to get that balance, right? There are many things you want to do, there are many things that's expected out of you. Keep balancing and trying to excel in both for you to really do, well.
So one question, follow up question on that. Does a human being, like a person, goes through all four, or like a person falls into one of those buckets?
I think this is. I also thought about this. Was this something around, the different phases of self discovery, right? Where you feel, okay, finally, I'm also good. The world is also good. I
Exactly.
think this is not that. I think this is more of the person, how they are. But something that we can consciously try to keep moving towards to get better. But yeah, I think this is a little to do with how we are wired internally.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So and also when you say like inner expectation, that is your inner voice, what do you want to do? And when
Correct.
you say outer expectation, it's just responsibilities, right? That's what you mean by that?
Yes, correct,
Mostly
correct.
like
Yes, yes,
responsibilities, yeah. Awesome. So that was very insightful. What when you were going through this, what I was thinking was like the question that I asked, is it like phases? Because in each
mm,
person, I think you'll have a phase where you feel like when you're super young, like others are right and you're wrong, you're trying to learn, and then at a certain age you'll be rebel, where you're right and nobody is wrong, and then when you become wise you feel like both people are right, like the society is right, you're right, it's just different perspective.
correct, correct. Yes, yeah, it's very relatable for sure.
Yeah, this is pretty insightful. I also want to mention, like, on one of the TED talks, his name is Daniel Pink. He talks
Mm,
about similar motivations too, and he gives a brilliant case study examples. He says there's two kinds of motivation: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is what really drives us to do. Extrinsic motivation could be like salary, or whatever the urges that you have, right? So he talks it more on the company side, how a company should design in a way, like what what they expect from the employees. They should always make sure that extrinsic motivations are fulfilled, like salary and job security. Then that'll automatically bring in the intrinsic motivation. It's a pretty nice TED talk.
I think this whole the way the system is, right. You have to earn, you have to make money, you have to, this whole journey that is structured, how it is structured for most people. I think the fear of just meeting those expectations sometimes makes you miss out on what you want to really do, because like you mentioned sometime, just when you feel okay, I've done this, then there is another set of expectations for you, another phase of your life where there's something else that you should be continuously doing. So in that you miss out on what you really want to do. So finding that balance and ensuring that both are met is really important.
For me, I feel like the one way that I try to meet both the internal and the external expectation and responsibility. For me, the one way that I do is like I try to sleep less and keep working all the time. I try to work like morning, evening, weekends, and stuff. Try to make both ends meet. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but that's how I try to meet it.
But knowing you, I can say that you are somebody who takes interest in many other things, right? You're not just a go to work and come back kind of a person. You have multiple interests and you are talented in so many other ways. I think that definitely yeah, gives that balance for you, because you are trying to do what you're passionate about, and you're also, maybe in good jobs which are like taking care of a lot of your needs. Doing what you do should go on parallelly. Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make. Yeah, than pushing it for like forever.
What would you, knowing what you know, if you have to give advice, like go back to yourself 10 years or 15 years before? I would say 15 years because that's when you started your career. What are the things that you would tell yourself?
For me, I think this whole thing of completely being in control with your life, is what really makes the difference. We, in all our journeys, like how I mentioned in the other point, right, we sit in the driver's seat, right, in our journey of life. We're not just anyone else, but we should be your own driver in your in the journey of your life, so that you can take charge, complete charge, make your decisions yourself, and take your journey ahead. This should not be something where a lot of other people are trying to set boundaries or set expectations for you. It should be more of you taking your own decisions, because each of our lives are different, our journeys are different. We are we are built differently, we are brought up differently, our strengths and weaknesses are different, so our journey is different for each person, right? So knowing what you're good at and capitalizing on those strengths and being in complete charge of your life and take decisions yourself, this really is going to help, I feel. That way you'll not have anybody to blame, do the blame game later. Learn from your own mistakes, know that every decision you took was, basis your own calculations. So take your own decisions, be the driver of your own journey, is what I would tell my younger self.
Awesome. So, looking back, have you been the driver of your own life journey?
In a lot of ways, yes. In a lot of ways, I feel I am. So that is where that piece comes of, if something didn't go fine also, it's fine, it was my call, it's fine, and we'll see what next. There's no point in going backwards and thinking, oh, I should not have done it this way, or oh, I let this person do the deciding for me. No, it's fine, it's fine to make those mistakes and learn from it, but as long as you did that yourself, and you did what you wanted to do, I think it's fine.
Great. That's a great answer.
What about you? I want to ask you, like, how do you look at it? Like, what would you tell your younger self?
My younger self. That's a really good question. If I have to go back and tell my younger self, I would say live in the moment. Don't think of future. Just live in the moment and just keep working hard. You're doing great. Just keep working hard. When I look back, there's nothing much that I wanted to change, but all I thought was like I was when I think now. I think I was living in the future. I was always like trying to postpone things like, oh, I'm going to do this when I'm there. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to start working out when I get a movie project or something like that. Um, so that's one thing that I would say myself. Don't wait for anything. Just start doing everything and everything will fall in place.
I think to add to that, if some of us also think that if I do it, I'll do it perfectly, or else I'll not do it. Okay, this is also a mindset of a few people. I've gone through this a lot. I have this issue of not wanting to do something because I have something set and that's the standard I want to meet. I either do it if I know, it would go there, or I don't do it. So that's also not a good thing. I would tell myself that it's okay. It's okay. You can't get to 100% every at the start itself.
You bring up a really really good point, and the biggest example for that is this podcast, right? I've always wanted to start a podcast. I'm like, let me wait for an equipment, let me wait to build my own studio in my own house and everything. No, there's nothing like that. Just start. I do it in my phone camera, and I have a good audio equipment, and I do it like on weekends or night at 9 p.m., and I edit it on weekends. So yeah, just don't wait for the right time.
Correct, correct. And that'll take you long, right? As long as you're able to see it scaling, it'll take you a long way. I think a lot of times perfectionists, they want it perfect the first time, second time, third time also it gets perfect, then they're already bored. They want to be like, okay, I've already reached what I wanted to, what next, what next. So this is always a better way to see those the journey of those little successes every day.
The fun is always in figuring out things. That's what I love about my job that I do. Like, I'm a data analyst and operations analyst and stuff. That's what I do. Like, the biggest thing that I learned in my job is you cannot you cannot anticipate anything even if you know everything.
Mm.
You learn by doing, and then that's where the fun is.
Correct, correct. Very true. I mean, everything is so dynamic today. Things are changing every day. So it's good to go with that flow.
Yeah. When I talk to people older than me, I mean, in India and stuff, they always see like you're a millennial, I'm a millennial too, right? If I'm not wrong.
Are we? Are
I
we?
yeah, I'm a
Okay.
millennial. Yeah. And
Millennials
you
are
are.
born after 2000, right?
No, that is Gen Z, I think.
Oh,
Gen
Gen
Z,
Z.
Gen Z.
Right, right, right. Okay.
So I think 1987 or 86. I don't know.
Okay.
I
Okay.
might be number bombing here, but
Okay.
they always call the millennials as a weaker generation compared to like the baby boomers, right? um, for me, like, I try to see it in a different way. We might be a little weak, we might be, because I feel like we are more of I'm not sure, this is what I try to think. We feel more entitled, but
Mm.
also we millennials, like if you think of how you and I grew up and how we are at the stage right now, we have seen the shift in technology and the shift in the way we do things every 3 years, right? So you have to be so quick and so flexible. If not, you'll be left behind. I don't think that was the same case for our parents. Am I correct?
Mm. Oh, yes, yes. I think in their days they were in one job for all their life, right? They never made changes, but we had to go through this whole revolution of the internet and everything, right? So the way we adapted, I think, made us stronger in its own way. So I agree, definitely.
I feel like we are heading towards where in a place where, like, this the people who are more flexible, people who are more open, make it in a better way in for
Mm,
the future, right? People who
right.
are more set in stone, like, this is my way and this is how it's done. I think it's going to be a huge issue for people like that.
Correct, correct. Being more agile, right? In the corporate world, that's a very um, interesting behavior that we look at. How well are you able to adapt to change and excel in that also? So yes.
Do you have any other words to our viewers?
No, I think I laid out a lot of my thoughts. So I would just say thanks for this opportunity. Uh, I love everything that you do, Raghu. Continue exploring, every side of what you're good at. That's definitely something I'm inspired with. So go ahead and make those mistakes. It's fine, but yeah, at least being happy with what we're doing, that makes it different.
Thank you so much. I'm humbled by your words. Yeah, I couldn't do this without any love and support from all of you, like my family, my cousins. They're the biggest strength in my life. So yeah, thanks for supporting me always and being there for me.
Thank you. Anytime, Raghu.